Federal prosecutors have accused Paul Manafort of violating the terms of his bail, and they are asking for him to go back to jail as his trial continues and the investigation continues. Now, what he's accused of is pretty serious. The federal prosecutors accused Trump's former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, of attempting to tamper with witnesses in his federal tax and money laundering case. And there is evidence to prove that that was happening. Manafort tried to contact witnesses by phone through an intermediary and through an encrypted messaging program. He used WhatsApp. Now, the people that—
It does sound fancier when you say like an encrypted message program.
Right.
When I first read that, I was like, "Ooh, that's pretty fancy. I wonder how you do that." Then later it's like WhatsApp. I'm like, "Oh, come on."
Right. I know.
Even I can do that.
It's pretty amazing. So the reason why there's evidence of this is because the individuals that Manafort attempted to contact went straight to the FBI and gave them the text messages.
Oops.
So 2 witnesses provided the text to the FBI, which also searched Mr. Manafort's cloud-based Apple account. So, of course, as soon as they were tipped off to these text messages, they went into Manafort's account and they were able to find more incriminating evidence.
2 things about that. First of all, the witnesses go to Mueller and go, "What's up?" They give him all the evidence. You know why? Because they don't want to get caught up in a federal investigation.
Yeah.
Okay. Second of all, you know how sometimes people say, "I don't make a federal case out of it." Manafort, you're in the middle of a federal case, literally. You think that it's going to slip by the FBI while you're under investigation and you're about to go to trial. You go into people and be like, "Oh, by the way, make sure you tell them the same story I told them." Of course they're gonna catch you, you knucklehead.
So let's talk about the story that he is trying to get these individuals to share as questions keep coming up during this investigation. So prosecutors accuse Manafort of trying to reach members of the public relations firm who could get word to the Europeans and help shape their story. Because remember, this is all about him, lobbying and doing work for foreigners. He didn't disclose that information. He also laundered a ton of money, allegedly. So I'll give you an example of what was communicated to these Europeans. They should say their lobbying and public relations work was exclusively in Europe. Now, the allegations indicate that this work was not exclusively in Europe, that some of this work took place in the United States, and that is criminal behavior.
So 2 things I enjoyed about that. Of course, one was the way Anna read it. Now remember to tell them it was in Europe. Number 2 is, if it's in America, then Manafort goes away for maybe decades. So when he says, "Now remember to tell him it was in Europe," the prosecutors can see that that's clearly trying to tamper with a witness. I mean, you're serving it up on a silver platter for him. I love how this guy thinks, no, it's okay, I'm sophisticated. Oh, really? How are you gonna get us the message? They'll never figure it out. WhatsApp.
No, but look, to be fair, WhatsApp is actually pretty secure.
No, I know,
but it's not
actually
about
encrypted.
that. It's about realizing that everyone is aware of this investigation. Everyone knows how serious the FBI is about this investigation. And the idea that anyone would play along with your dirty tricks is ridiculous. Of course they're gonna go back to the authorities, to the FBI, and share this information. They don't wanna be investigated. They don't wanna be part of this.
So now, what they did was dirty to begin with, so maybe he assumed that they'd be into it.
Maybe.
I don't know, maybe it was his lack of sophistication. Like if Manafort reaches out to these guys who've done shady stuff with him and he's like, "Guys, don't worry, I got this on lockdown. We're going Mission Impossible, dun, 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 dun," and he's hanging over, right? And they're expecting him to be hanging from the ceiling. And they're like, "Okay, Paul, what's your plan?" One of them was, when he was trying to use an intermediary, they're like, "My friend P has a message for you." As in Paul Manafort.
But why is anyone surprised? Okay, so remember, he went through all of this, risking his future, risking his life. For what? For millions of dollars, right? A lot of people would maybe sign on to that, but he used that money to buy rugs.
Oh.
Was it worth it? Was it worth it?
You kind of threw that money away on a throw.
That was
my first interior design joke ever.
Okay. All right. There's more. Another example of a message was, "We should talk. I have made clear they worked in Europe." Okay. All right. Prosecutors working for the special counsel say that he violated the terms of Manafort's release. They asked a federal judge to revise those terms or send him to jail until trial. Now, that is incredibly relevant. First of all, he did violate the terms. So it is very likely, very possible that he will be sent back to jail. Now, if he does get sent back to jail, there is more likelihood that he will cooperate with authorities, with the investigation, and possibly give incriminating information to these investigators in regard to Trump. And that's why Trump right now is panicking, and in a story that we'll later cover, is now spouting off about Sessions again. So this is all wonderful, and I love every moment of it.
Now, look, to be accurate here, we don't know that Manafort has information on Trump. Look, in terms of the evidence that is publicly available, the allegations against Manafort are deep and significant. It looks like he's done. So they've got him taking $18 million from Russian oligarchs. And then that European team that we've been alluding to, the one he keeps trying to communicate by going, now remember it was in Europe only, right? Anyway, what he paid them to do is about $2 million, according to the allegations. And they were high-level diplomats and influential people in Europe, and they did not seem to have a connection to Ukraine. And he funnels them money, and he says, now go and write and talk on TV and in the papers about how great the Russian-linked government of Ukraine is at the time, back in 2012. So this is what we call the swamp. And this is why people get so upset at the elites, which they should. Because behind the scenes, there's this kind of corruption going on, where they go on TV and it looks like, oh my God, they really think that the Russian government, Russian-linked government back then of Ukraine is a wonderful government, and we really shouldn't do, we should be on their side, et cetera. It turns out, no, they're getting money from Manafort, from their friend P, to say that. Now, here in America, we're a little bit more sophisticated. We've institutionalized bribery. So you just go get a job with a giant company, and then they pay you like defense contractors, and then they send the former generals being paid millions of dollars by defense contractors to go on TV and go, I believe we should have a war. I think it is really important. One general, ex-general McCaffrey famously said on NBC, I think the Abrams tank will solve this issue in Iraq, while he worked for a defense contractor building the Abrams tank.
I mean, you barely need any sophistication to pull that off and do it legally, which is what happened in that case, right? But Paul Manafort lacks any and all sophistication, which is unsurprising considering he was Trump's campaign chairman. It all makes sense. It all makes sense.
So if he's got info on Trump, given that his main colleague, Rick Gates, Gates and Manafort worked together for decades. Gates has already flipped. He's already taken a plea from Mueller, pled guilty, and he's not giving him information about Manafort. Manafort is screwed to high heaven. Okay, and there ain't no WhatsApp that's gonna save him. Okay, so, but we don't know if Manafort has information about Trump. Did Trump have a lot of shady dealings with the Russians? I've said it a million times, you guys know, I think he absolutely did. I think that Trump's a lifelong criminal. But does Manafort have any of that evidence? We don't yet know. He hasn't flipped. So we'll see. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.